quite a lot of change in the world of golf recently,
Sure
as you
has.
said. I want to know your relationship with the new PGA Tour CEO, Brian Rowlett.
If you go to the root of the question saying, are there opportunities for our golfers to play more golf together? Absolutely.
Is there any big name players knocking at your door?
Oh,
What do you see golf looking like in 5 years?
this is about how do we play on the best courses in the world?
There's obviously players now are coming to kind of the tail end of their current contract. Bryson, Brooks,
Yeah.
Phil Mickelson.
You know, depends on who the person is and what the length is.
This is still my opinion. I've been here for 8 events now. I still think there's a disconnect between teams and fans.
Yeah.
And I think it can be improved.
Well, how do you think it can be improved? We have decided to step into one of the most traditional, amazing sports in the world and say hey, we want to change it. And so it has to be okay that we take a beating sometimes.
All right, guys, welcome to the Rick Shiels Golf Show podcast. Today, we've got a very special guest, Scott O'Neill, the CEO of LIV Golf. Now, obviously, I've signed with LIV Golf. I'm a LIV Golf ambassador, but this podcast is an exclusive. He has never done a full-length podcast. We talked for over an hour on everything to do with LIV Golf. We talked about new signings, re-signings, PGA Tour potential mergers. I asked everything I know you guys would want me to ask. And Scott was great. Scott was great with his time. He's an incredibly charismatic individual. And he talked about his career, his love for sport, how he moved into the CEO role of LIV Golf. And it's just incredible. So sit back and enjoy an exclusive, world exclusive of a sit down with LIV Golf's CEO, Scott O'Neill. Scott, thanks for doing this.
It's good to be here.
I really appreciate it.
Ah, cool. Anytime.
I know you're a busy man, and I'm excited to sit down.
Yeah.
I think I'm excited, and I'm not going to go easy on you. And you know why? I've never seen a full-length, exclusive podcast interview since you've been the CEO of LIV.
No, it's my first one.
And I think there's lots of questions to
I think 6 months in is about the time where it makes sense.
Yeah.
You come in when you start one of these jobs and you have to learn. I mean, I've entered a lot of new sports in my life, and it really does take a minute. You have to immerse yourself into the experience and content, understand the different players and the frameworks, and golf is no different than it was when I walked into hockey or walked into American football. But it's good.
What is that? What's your sporting background? Because we played a little bit of paddle last night.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed.
I hated losing.
You didn't like losing.
I have a competitive problem. I may have smacked the ball against the back a couple of times.
But to be honest, we played 2 Spaniards yesterday, which was never going to be easy.
No.
We partnered for the first game, and then
did.
me and Sergio partnered for the second game.
Yeah.
And
Sergio's, he's an elite player.
He's a very good paddle player.
Yes. And he talks trash, and it upsets me.
But I could tell, even just for that little time spent with you, you are a bit of a natural sports person.
I've grown up playing sports, my whole life. Yeah.
And what's been the main sports that you've played?
So I've played football, soccer, basketball, and tennis.
They're the main 3.
Yeah, then a little bit of baseball. But I could just about pick up anything. Golf has been the most difficult to pick up, which I just picked up.
I think golf is the most
6
difficult
months ago. Yeah, for sure.
And how is your golf game?
Do you know that 80% of the golfers in the world shoot over 100?
Yeah.
So I'm in the top 20%. No, I've seen you play. I know you're an extraordinary golfer. And for me, it's a journey. At this stage of my life, I'm older. I've got 4 daughters. My youngest one has just graduated from high school and will move on to university. And so I'll have time and space, which is good.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of my time coaching my girls in basketball. I actually won a state championship with all my girls.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty fun. And I just like to compete.
Yeah.
And so golf is a journey for me. And I've got some great tips from some of the players.
I bet, because you're very lucky. Obviously, you get to spend time with some of the best players in the world.
It's not I play some of the best courses in the world with some of the best players in the world. It's not the worst job. It's a pinch me. I have a couple of those moments where you just reflect back. But I remember I was playing with Dustin Johnson. So,
yeah.
And he was asking me, hey, and the players, they're so gracious with me. And I'm 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 their boss effectively, and their business partner.
Yeah.
Okay. And the guy who finds them if they do something that they shouldn't be doing, and the guy that re-signs them. And so it's a complex relationship.
Yeah.
But generally, I treat I find them to be friends and business partners.
Yeah.
And they're very interested in my exploration of golf.
Have you picked up any tips?
Yes. Early on, it was rough. So the first one was from DJ, which I think is really helpful for everybody. He said, "What's your biggest struggle?" Because I have good hand-eye. I go playing racket sports and baseball, anything. And I said, "I can't focus for that long." I said, by the time I get to hole 12, I'm like, look, a bird. And
it's a long time.
Yeah, but he had such a good tip. But this is such a DJ moment, which you'll appreciate. Is he said, you don't have to focus for 4 hours.
Yeah.
He said, you have to focus for 10 seconds at a time every time you address a ball. And it's a complete philosophical change for me and completely changed the way I approach a round.
I think the difference is he only has to focus for 65 shots.
I have a few more 10-second clips for me. But philosophically it was good. Sergio, when I first came on, just that notion of staying down through the ball, which was what he focused really early on, was just stay down through it. And Patrick Reed it's really going to sound simple to a real golfer, but just this notion of off the tee, coming through the ball just 2-3 inches after the ball before you come through. Yeah. It just straightened my drive out instantly. And so these guys are so precise and technical, and I'm still learning. If you put me on a basketball court at 15 feet with a blindfold on, my body knows exactly what to do. If you put me at 95 yards or 110 yards, my body does not know. So I have to think through every ounce. So it's a journey. I'm working though. I'll be on the range tonight. I get on the range a lot. I play as much as I can. So I know I'm a work in progress, and I'm just about to the corporate golf level. Just about.
But I think a lot of listeners and viewers will appreciate that. I think they'll want someone to be the CEO of LIV Golf who is passionate about golf, who wants to improve at golf, who loves it and understands its struggles and its challenges. But you've surrounded yourself with professional sports people through your whole career.
Wait, can I just tell you one more thing?
Go on.
So there are two beautiful moments for me in this job. One is when I go on the range, I usually go at night.
Yeah.
And it's usually completely empty. Sometimes I go in the dark. And one of the colleagues I work with, Riker, comes out with me, and we just hit a couple.
Is that so you can't see where the ball goes?
Maybe. No, it's usually like errant lights. You can see. Or it's late, and it'd be like Bryson or Lee West, whatever. There's some guys who just grind, and I'll just go way down. But that peacefulness of a range is beautiful. And for new golfers who may not be watching right now, there is a science to what you do on the range to prepare and get better, which I had to learn as well.
Yeah.
You don't just get up. When I used to come up to the range, I just hit the ball. And so there's a whole science to that, which I've learned. So, but that peacefulness on a range is it's like I can't get enough of it.
I must admit, when I spend time and walk down the range now, it really surprises me, and it sounds like a stupid thing to say, but how many golf shots actually do get hit by these professional golfers?
These guys work.
They really work.
Yeah.
Regardless of the temperature. It's hot here in Dallas this week. And they are out there for hours grinding. Yeah. And it's impressive. Yeah. It really is. But going back to the idea of obviously you working in many different professional sports, what have you seen has been different now working with professional golfers? Because you've worked give us a list of all the sports you've worked in.
So I've worked in the NBA several times. I worked for the now Brooklyn Nets. Started my career there. I worked for the New York Knicks. I was president of the Knicks.
I actually went to a Knicks game.
That's amazing.
In January, it was incredible.
Special place.
It was incredible.
Yeah, that's where you get the chills walking into that place. I ran the Philadelphia 76ers, another team. And I was at the Knicks during Linsanity. That might not mean anything to you because I don't think you're an NBA fan.
No,
or trust the process.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
And then professional hockey, the National Hockey League, New York Rangers and New Jersey Devils, and then the National Football League, American football with the Philadelphia Eagles. So I've been across multiple sports. And esports, a bit of esports as well.
I mean, that's a wild resume.
Yeah.
So when you got approached, when it was first a conversation, what did you feel like becoming the CEO of LIV Golf?
Yeah. I was running this company called Merlin Entertainments, which is a UK-based firm. It's a global amusement parks, Thorpe Park and Alton Towers.
It's like Madame Tussauds as well, is it?
Madame Tussauds, yeah, big business. And I was having a lot of fun. You know, I never lived outside the U.S. before. I was living in the U.K., in London, which was amazing. My youngest daughter was with me and my wife, which was really fun. And great board, great team. And we were going through a pretty heavy transformation. And I got this call and I was like, I just got here. I can't do this. And in a moment of weakness, the recruiter said, look, just meet with HE. Just meet with His Excellency, Yasser Al-Rumayyan. And I said, kind of like, fine, you know. And I went up to Newcastle.
Yeah.
And met him.
He's the chairman of Newcastle.
He's the chairman of Newcastle. And I met him after a game, and I instantly got it. You know, I've worked for some of the most incredible people in the world. That's been the hallmark, whether it be stone cold luck or whatever, but I've worked for these amazing, like David Stern, you know, Adam Silver, all these incredible like executives. And he's in a league of his own.
Really?
I mean, he has just grace and he's a visionary, and he's incredible IQ, incredible EQ, and he just has a way and a purity and love of the game of golf. And when I talk about, I was looking for purpose. You know, I'm 55, so you get to a point in life where you're just looking for purpose every day. And, you know, I feel like golf has real purpose.
Yeah.
Like I believe that the game of golf teaches you a lot of things. It gives you, you know, I always say to my kids, focus on the flag, meaning, you know, do you have a vision for where you want to go? It teaches you integrity. You know, it's the only self-scoring sport in the world. It teaches you resilience, especially if you play with me. Humility, especially when you play with me. So consistency.
Humor.
For
everybody
you don't have a sense of humor. So you have all these amazing life skills that I believe that the world is better if you have them. Yeah. And that came out so like through and true when I was talking to HE. And
he's super passionate about golf, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't think enough listeners and viewers know, like, he absolutely loves it.
And he wants to grow the game of golf because he believes the world will be better with more golf in it, and so do I.
Yeah.
And so that was the decision. I literally got in the car on the way back to London. I called my wife. I'm like, if I get this job, I'm taking it in 2 seconds. She's like, really? I said, no, this guy he's really special. He's different. And so he's the type of person I'd love to work for. And you have a chance to run a league. Like what? You know, been in the sports business for 30 some odd years, and you don't even care to dream to be able to run a sports league because it's so, you know. And I've been fortunate enough to be on the, you know, board of directors of the NBA and the NHL for years and years, and have so much respect for Gary Bettman and now Adam Silver, two good friends, and see what they do. And you know, the chance to run a league is pretty cool.
This is a question more for the listeners and viewers, but as a CEO of LIV Golf, what is your main roles? Like what like, you know, what are you almost accountable for? I mean, you're accountable for the whole thing, but like, what is your almost daily, weekly tasks?
Well, it's a complicated environment that I walked into. Golf is a bit fractured. I think we spent way too much time talking about things that shouldn't matter, couldn't matter, and are more destructive than value additive. And so a lot of my role early on is just about setting the narrative. Like what does LIV Golf actually mean and stand for?
Yeah.
And we're about taking the greatest players in the world, taking them to the four corners of the earth and growing the game of golf.
Yeah.
And the PGA has done a wonderful job in the US, and it's our job, but they have had the majority of, or all of the great, pre-Tiger, it was a little more balanced between the European Tour and PGA. Yeah. Post-Tiger, those great players migrated, all went to the US, and kind of our vision is let's take a good chunk of them, some extraordinary players, and let's take them to where the game of golf is growing. And so, and part of my job early on is just this narrative shift from golf but louder, or friction, or disruption, to no. This is long live golf. We are part of this incredible ecosystem. We recognize the game of golf is growing around the world, and we want to make sure that we have more clubs in more kids' hands. And part of doing that is actually showing up in these markets and going to Singapore and Hong Kong, in Korea, and going to Riyadh, and going to Australia, and bringing these great players there. And so part of this whole notion of, so that's one part of it. Another part is I think, you know, we have started to play our role talking to the powers that be, Mike Wan of the USGA and Will Jones in Augusta and Mark Darbin at the RNA and Derek at the PGA of America, and starting to kind of come to this group and connect with them. Yeah. And quite frankly, ask for, can you give us more, by the way, they've been great giving us pathways. Can we have some pathways into the majors? And so part of it is that. Part of it is meeting with Trevor Immelman, who's I'm sure your listeners know, a Masters winner, and the new chairman of OWGR. A lot of these names I'm mentioning are new.
Yeah, okay? But OWGR being the world ranking of golf, by the way.
Yeah, world ranking system. And we have been out of the world rankings. We haven't been included. And that board is the 4 majors and, the PGA Tour and the European Tour. And and then a seat that represents all the other tours. And so, it's a group that hasn't had us involved in rankings, which affects how many of our guys go in the majors, which affects how many people, how much exposure we get, which impacts sponsorship and all that stuff. So part of it is going to that group and trying to figure out, okay, what does a reclamation project look like there? Yeah. And Trevor's been absolutely wonderful in that engagement. So that's a process that's ongoing. Part of it is looking at the landscape and sorting out, television distribution is a big deal. And so we came on, and Fox is now our partner in the U.S. ITV is the first time golf has been in over-the-air television in the UK in 10 years.
Free
Amazing, yeah. And now we find ourselves in almost 900 million homes around the world, and so that does, that's something I'm very passionate about. Talent and culture, like how do we attract and retain and develop the greatest talent in the world, not just out here on the range, but also in the office? How are we going to actually do that? And how are we going to create a business out of this? Incredible vision. And so that's about the day job. Yeah. No, it's the best job in the world. I'll be honest with you.
Not a lot.
No, it's a ton, but I will say I wouldn't trade jobs with anybody in the world.
What excites you about LIV Golf? What gets you going? Like when you walk through the door in January and you probably went to events but like in Riyadh, start of the year, and you first properly saw it as CEO. What really got you going? What excited you?
I couldn't get enough instantly. Like instantly fell in love. First of all, that we did night golf.
Yeah, that was cool.
Is it's so LIV Golf, and all the challenges that come with an early stage. It's a 3-year-old company. I mean, PGA is 96 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, MLB and NFL, NHL, 100 years plus old. Yep. NBA, 78 years old. We're 3 years old. And yet we're like, hey, let's try night golf. I mean, the audacity or the confidence or the innovative thrill or will just to pull this off is just, it's so humbling. And we had the Backstreet Boys concert with 30,000 people going crazy. I mean, it's just, it was amazing. And the Adrian Moronk won, and I remember, I won't say the player, maybe I will, but when these guys come off, they look so calm and cool when they're on the course, and yet they're just, the energy, the competitive juices are flowing, and there was some energy that I hadn't anticipated, because I always consider golfers just wonderful gentlemen, and they are, but seeing these guys compete and work, and how hard they work. I see, we build now, everywhere we go, we build a performance center, and just see these guys work on their bodies, see them what they eat, see how they work on their games on the range, see how they're in the heat out on the course, getting work in, how they're doing work up here and doing work in here. That stuff to me was inspiring and enlightening.
How would you answer the question to some naysayers who say that LIV Golf players don't care anymore?
Yeah, they should come out. I'd say just come see us. It's so funny. I had an all caddy meeting, and we just wings and nachos just to take Q&A.
The caddies love it out here.
Yeah, the caddies are very happy.
Yeah.
And one of the caddies was new. And he grabbed me and said, "Hey, Scott, you got a minute?" I said, "Of course." It was afterwards, we were just kind of mulling around. And he said, "It's not true." I said, I was thinking, is it something I said?
Yeah, what's happened?
Because I do the best I can to tell the truth, because it's the only thing I can remember. It's a bad memory. And he said, well, that the guys don't care. I was like, oh yeah, no, these guys they're competitive animals. Like these guys would compete to walk out the door first to see who can eat. I mean, they just have competitive craziness.
So I have it, by the way. Top. You do have it. I saw it last night.
Yeah, no, I have it.
I saw it in paddle last night.
It's not something I'm always proud of, but it is. Like I love to compete and win. And these guys, it's a gear. It's like that's a championship mindset and gear. And he said, yeah, but they also said they don't work. I was like, oh yeah, no, these guys are as hard working as athletes as I've ever seen. And I've been around athletes from every sport. These guys work their tails off. So I think there's maybe some notion of that. I feel like it's like when you get a raise. Like you get a raise for the first time, you're like, amazing, I got a raise. And then 2 weeks later, you're like, okay, it's like I got back to work.
Yeah,
you know, it's just that one paycheck that you get that boost. Then everything else is the same. It's like you either have that will and that drive, and there's no way. Well, let's see. Put it this way: I have never seen excellence at any level. Okay, and I mean from a 5-year-old to a 55-year-old, where you don't work unreasonably hard, that you don't have that will and thrill, that passion for what you do. I just haven't seen it. Like, and I hope it exists somewhere where somebody in some industry can be extraordinarily successful without working extremely hard and not having that passion. I just have never found it. And all I find here is the fight. And by the way, how we do in the majors?
Yeah.
Do these guys not care? Because if you look at what happened at the Masters, you look at what happened at the PGA Championship, you look at what happened at the US Open, our guys are right there.
Yeah, of course they are. And they want to compete.
Do they accidentally get there? Is it just a lucky day? It just doesn't happen. Like, this is not a sport of luck. This is a sport of narcissists and pain. You know what I say on the when I walk the because one of my favorite moments is walking the range early, like before all the fans are there, and just seeing those guys. And what I typically say to players after I wish them well is, find some joy out there on the course today.
Yeah.
Because this is a sport where there's not a lot of joy, right?
It kicks you a lot.
No, it's a hard. Even
really
if you shoot a 68, you've missed quite a few. Right?
The amount of times that a player will shoot a great score and go, but
yeah,
what about that one that linked
and there's no fairness. This sport's not fair.
No.
Perfect swing, wind. You know, perfect swing, bad bounce. You can hit a perfect shot and it not go well for you.
I've been to obviously a lot of LIV events now, and the culture and the atmosphere is unlike any golf event I've ever been to. And I know you've been to lots of majors as well. Yeah. What would be your message, or what's your goal for new fans coming to a LIV event? Yeah. What should they expect?
I would say we seem to be checking that box pretty well. We have about 30% of our attendees have never been to a golf event before. 30%.
Really?
30 people come, and this is their first experience. So I just love the notion of that. But here's what I would say to people who maybe are cynical, or maybe they're old school golfers, or maybe sit in their squirrely den and they're getting older and they're just watching the Golf Channel. All good. We love you all. We support you all. I would just invite you to say, have you ever been to Augusta at the Masters? Some might say yes. Some might say, well, have you ever watched it? Well, what do you love about it? And I think we'd all say the same thing, because that's as perfect and pure an experience in sport as maybe there is in the world.
It's amazing.
It's beautiful and wonderful and perfect. And when you go there in person, it's even more pure than on television. Now, how many of you have been to the Ryder Cup? Fewer people probably have been to the Ryder Cup. And you say, do you like the Ryder Cup? The Ryder Cup's incredible. Well, what do you like about the Ryder Cup? Oh, it's so raucous and full of patriotism, and people are screaming and yelling and whistling. But they're different, right? Those are different experiences. But you love them both.
Yeah.
So wait a second. Can things actually be different and wonderful in golf and still be worthwhile?
Yeah.
I'll say, so is LIV Golf. Isn't that okay?
If you want to sit I love the Open.
Yeah.
If you want to sit there from 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, and you want to sit in the stands and watch every golfer come through for hours on end, and there's no music, there's birds tweeting, you can have that experience. Of course you can. You want to go to the Masters, you can have that experience. Yes. Obviously, it's more pricey, but it's an incredible experience. The Ryder Cup, I was in Rome a couple of years ago. I mean, it's
amazing.
Bonkers.
It's amazing.
It's as close to a football match, a soccer match, as you can get to it. And then you've got this experience. And I took some friends last year to JCB. Every single one of them was gutted it was over.
I've never...
Every one of them wanted it to carry on.
I've taken a lot of guests in my 8 events. Like, extraordinary is probably the low bar. Like, people cannot believe it. Now, and I used to say when I first started, I'm like, hey, maybe this isn't for everyone. I'm like, which part?
Yeah.
You have the greatest players in the world, among the greatest players in the world. You have music, food. We're incorporating art. I mean, it's just fun. It's like a fun festival. And you see parents out here with strollers.
Yeah.
Kids,
Lots of families.
Kids under 12 come free. There are families here. Like what golf event do you see 40% of the attendees are women? What golf event are you seeing where...
Is that the stat? 40% of women?
40%, yeah.
Wow.
What golf event do you have, like, gal pals together and guys and families and these different pockets enjoying themselves out here? I mean, to me, I think if you go back to the purity of our mission, that's to grow the game of golf, we're living it.
Yeah.
And so it's fun. If you ever have a chance to come see an event, you should see it.
Well, you've got probably more chance to see a LIV Golf event than any other golf event because it travels the world.
That's right.
If you're listening from Australia, I mean, the Adelaide event, I mean, that is something else.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite sporting events in the world.
You got JCB in the UK. South Korea was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Mexico City. I mean, it was the golf ball was traveling a long way in Mexico City.
You know, a little fun fact. I believe this is the right stat, but Bryson, we were in player dining, and I said, how's the ball flying? And he said, I believe this is the stat. My driver is flying 42.6 yards further.
Did you say that?
That precise. And I
think he was messing with
you.
No,
I actually don't think so. I actually don't think so. Like I will tell you. And then the other thing we haven't touched on is, because you mentioned Mexico, just flew into my head. We have two incredible Mexican golfers. We have Abe Amster and Carlos Ortiz. Yeah. Carlos Ortiz obviously had the big run at the U.S. Open. But this guy it's not an accident. He played well. I mean, I've seen him all year, and we have some players like Dean Burmester and Carlos and Seb Munoz who have just been playing Lucas Herbert, incredible golf. And
Wacko Neiman.
Do you know
that's
a different level.
He's been
Wacko's been the best player.
Unstoppable this year.
Yeah, I was good to see him get a top 10 in a major.
Yeah,
I want to see him win one.
100%.
Like, he's good enough.
Oh,
26 years old. 26 years old.
Are you jealous of him? I am.
But
I'm jealous of him.
I do.
He's cool.
Someone asked me.
He's cool. Humble. He's unbelievable at golf.
He's smart.
He has amazing cars.
He's one of our hardest workers. He's a wonderful guy. He's funny.
I really like him.
No, he's an elite human that matches his golf game. And when you see guys like that, what I always think about when you're running a league, you're thinking, okay, who can be the best ambassador for the sport?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a better ambassador than him.
No, he's amazing.
Although Bryson's not a bad ambassador.
Bryson's pretty good. Bryson's pretty good.
Yeah.
We're going to get some more hard-hitting questions.
Sure.
Okay. Been quite a lot of change in the world of golf recently,
sure
as you said.
Yeah.
I want to know, and the audience want to know, your relationship with the new PGA Tour CEO, Brian Rowlap.
Yeah.
Because there's a relationship there, isn't there?
I don't know, it's really hard-hitting. Yeah, Brian
I'm going to get on to more hard-hitting ones.
Okay.
Worry. But let's start with that first.
Brian and I went to Harvard Business School together.
So you went to business school together?
We did.
So you and Brian know each other pretty well?
Yeah, we're friends. Yeah, for sure. And I can say that may sound strange. I know you have a global audience. But in the U.S., I've been in the sports business for so long, and he's in the sports business. I mean, there's only so many people running the world of sports in the U.S. and we go to the same church, and so we're friends. Yeah.
What do you think the golf audience is going to take from that statement? Do you think
I'm not sure.
Do you think they're going to be excited?
I hope so. I'm thrilled.
Should they be excited?
Sure. Brian he's great for the game of golf. Like any sport, any fans of any sport should appreciate and love the fact that you get a whip-smart, high-integrity, extraordinary deal maker, negotiator, wonderful person into the sport, and that's him.
And then I think the follow-up question is probably the most asked question you get. What would a merger look like?
Yeah,
could a merger look like anything? I'm
not sure it's the right question, and I know it's good. It's good media.
It's probably the one you get a lot.
It is. I get a ton.
A lot.
And I would say that if you go to the root of the question, saying, are there opportunities for our golfers to play more golf together? Absolutely. Is Brian here going to help facilitate that at a faster pace than otherwise would? Of course. And so we'll Brian, I'm still new guy at 6 months.
Yeah.
Brian's new at 6 minutes.
He needs to get,
we got to get his feet under
on
him.
the table.
And but yeah, he's hopefully it leads to good things.
Are you going to invite him out to a LIV Golf event?
Yeah, I'm sure. Listen, he's someone I know very well and have a lot of respect for. And I doubt he'll come. It'll be too much of a news circus, and nor I don't think I would encroach on his energy too. I imagine if he comes to the Open, we'll spend some time.
Recently, there's been a lot more conversations. There's obviously players now are coming to kind of the tail end of their current contracts.
Yeah.
There's been lots of talk in the media. Bryson, Brooks, Phil Mickelson, re-signing contracts.
Yeah.
What's all that going to look like?
Yeah, I would never want to like give you specifics other than to say, I'll give you some anecdotes. How about that? In Miami, we had a lot of families come in. We have a lot of, we have a very diverse talent pool. I think we're from 19 countries, but we had a fair amount who live in the U.S. Even some of those born outside the country live in the golf capital of the world in Florida, the Republic of Florida, and we had a lot of wives. I'd say no fewer than a dozen come up independently, unsolicited, and say, "My husband's never been happier. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." It was just that's nice. Yeah. I'd say of the players that are up this year, everyone wants to be back. We're having those conversations, so that's nice.
It's the end of 2025 that contracts are starting.
Some of them, it depends. I mean, they're all different. Some came up in 24, some 25, some 26, some 27, some 28, and actually some 29. And so it's depends on who the person is and what the length is. But if you're a LIV Golf fan, I'd have very little concern as to what's happening.
It's good to know.
Yeah, no, it's good. The conversations are going very well.
I suppose the big topic was obviously Bryson.
Yeah.
Well, obviously,
he's been pretty public about his desire to come back.
Yeah.
And he's Bryson, what an ambassador for the game. I will say that like a lot of things impress me about a lot of players, and I've been around a lot of big stars in my life, and never seen one quite like him that does it when the lights and the cameras are off. Yeah. And that's what I dig.
But also loves it when the lights and cameras are on.
Yeah. Yeah. He puts his money where his mouth is. Like, he works. Yeah. Like, it's not an accident how good he is. I know it's like notorious for his professor like tweaking, but man, does he work his tail off. But what he does with fans is just so special. He said to me once that Arnold Palmer said, "Write your name so they can read it." He actually repeated that to me 2 or 3 times. So when you watch him sign an autograph, even when he's walking down this like whole row of screaming kids, he stops, he engages each one, and signs this beautiful autograph they can read.
It's quite a long name.
It is. And he spends the time to write it. It's actually, he's special. And he actually helped us. We're in Dallas now, and he called. He's very passionate about LIV. He's very passionate about this event. He said, "How are sales going in Dallas?" I'm like, "They're good." He's like, "Good?" He's like, "Well, what can I do to help?" And I said, "Well, Bryson,
you could sit on a big freeway, cross and promote it with a sign."
And so he's like, "I have some ideas. Let me have my team get to you." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "So you're up for it?" I'm like, "Absolutely." And he came up with a campaign, social campaign that he ran that actually got more people here than otherwise would have been here. Now you might say, "Oh, I think it was 8,500 tickets, whatever." He sold 8,500 tickets by literally being Bryson.
Yeah. And letting people know that LIV Golf is in Dallas.
Yes. And for me, it was just a message to the world. I mean, he's different and special and wonderful, and I hope the more people that get to know him, the better off it is.
What's the biggest ask from players?
Us?
Yeah. What do the players want to see different?
We have a really so look. I've been a part of a lot of leagues and been a part of teams, and have always thought of the athletes as look. It's the talent. In this case, it's talent and partners with access. It's a different level. Yeah. So we spend quite a bit of time. We have a competition committee with DJ and Waco and Brooks and Bryson and John Rahm. You can imagine that power room. Can you imagine? So can you imagine?
You do well to stand up there and.
Yeah. No, these guys, we mix it up. Like, this is not like, this isn't, this isn't take your hat off, shake your hand, nice round type conversations. This is about how do we play on the best courses in the world? How do what do the hole positions look like and why? Like, how can we improve the green positions? Hey, I mean, we're working with the RNA and agronomy. What does that actually look like? Hey, can we get, I mean, it's amazing. What format should we use for the team championship? I mean, how is our schedule? Hey, would you rather move this before the Open or after the Open, and why? Well, what kind of course are you looking for? I mean, they're my partners. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is incredibly engaging. We do that same thing on the business side as well, with a different set of people. We have a very active, which I hope never goes public, captain's chat, which is full of all sorts of nuggets and
imagine
and
being
good fun.
a flat wall in there.
It is.
We should roll cameras in there.
No, you can't. You can't. I mean, the chat's amazing. And then we have we'll have one today. We'll have an all-player meeting today, and then we'll have a captain's meeting, and then we have GM meeting as well. So, and we do that periodically. We don't do that every week, of course, but it's a chance for us to engage and players to ask questions. Hey, what's happening with so-and-so? What is happening with, why can't you do so, and we take notes. I tell these guys, anything we can fix, we'll fix. And one of the things we got early on, just as an example, was we were at a course, I won't name it, the gym's not big enough.
Okay.
And so from there on out, we built a performance center at every course. And you're like, it sounds simple, right? I mean, but it's like, you have elite athletes who want to work at an elite level, and they want an elite facility, and so let's just build one. And so that's the kind of thing that will come out of a competition committee meeting or a captain's meeting, or will they say, this just isn't good enough, and we'll say, okay, let's fix it.
Okay, let's fix it.
And what a wonderful, inspiring environment to work in a place where you can actually be heard, okay, and push back, and ask for something that you think we need. In some cases, it could be as simple as, the food, or I had one player's wife come up and say something about we have like elite childcare. It sounds really simple, but I think it's like 60% or 65% of our players have families and young kids, and so we want to make sure that when the parents are here, that there's some freedom, and so we were like a traveling daycare, and our workers in daycare know each of the kids by name and know what they like and know what games they play and all that kind of stuff. And I had a player later player's wife come up and say, like, my wife got to you, right? I'm like, she did. It's like, keep that together. I was like, no problem. So it's good though. That's the kind of engagement we want.
And what do they want from a golf course? Because it must be hard picking a golf course.
They want tougher courses.
They want tougher courses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you not think
more challenging pin positions. More challenging golf courses, and we've had some. You play them.
I played them bloody hard.
Yeah,
they're really hard.
We have some tough courses. This is a tough course.
This is
I
really
I don't
difficult.
play tomorrow, so. I heard this
really
was a tough
challenging.
One. But I think like playing Doral, the Blue Monster.
Yeah.
Like that's enough to break a man's spirit.
It is a really long, hard.
On hole number 3, I don't know if you remember this. I think it was hole number 3. Wacko hit 2 in the water. Now this is one of the best players in the world.
Yeah. On
the same hole, hits 2 in the water. That will probably never happen again to him. Okay.
Well, you were winding Sergio up for having a double fault last night at paddle. That was like a double fault for these guys, isn't it?
Yes.
And you don't normally see that.
No, and you see, and you get on these, and the greens we play. I mean, they usually, I don't know. I heard these are rolling really fast, but you're talking 14 and a half. So, I mean, the greens are rolling pretty quick.
Yeah, I must admit, early in the week, I normally say to them, "What do you want from the golf course?" They want it to be firmer and faster, and the wind to get up. I'm like, what?
Right.
Why? I don't get it. But they obviously must think it helps them.
Yes, because a lot of these guys, like, they love LIV, and players on the tour love the tour, and players on the European tour love the European tour, etc. But you make your name, the majors, and to be ready for the majors, you gotta play big boy courses.
What happens a little bit down the line?
Yeah.
Okay. And what happens when some of these bigger name players decide to take more of a back seat? Like, what's that going to look like?
When you say back seat, you mean when they get older?
Yeah.
We have, it depends on what your perspective is. Mine is that, with the Tom McKibbins of the world, and the Caleb Surratts of the world, and the David Pujas of the world, and Wacko Niemans of the world, that's 4 guys under 26, 3 of them under 23.
Yeah.
That I put a lot of stock in, and I think what you'll see, we just signed Jose Lay, who we played last night with.
I mean, he's a superstar.
Heck of an athlete too. And he's got the whole look. And
I didn't realize he's only 21.
Yeah, he's a kid. and confident and special.
Yeah.
And you know, and so you're starting to see this young infusion of talent. Adrian Morank's another young kid. So like I think you'll see more and more of that through the system, and then these guys, assuming the world rankings situation gets worked through, you'll have more of those guys then get entrance in the majors, and then they'll perform at the majors and start to make a name for themselves. And I think it's a wonderful cycle we're setting up.
Would some of the bigger name players become almost the team owners and almost kind of this?
They are.
Yeah, but almost from this non-playing role.
I think that's what. Yeah. So a lot of our business partners have equity in these teams, and they'll play more of a captain owner type role when they get older. But remember, I mean, you know, golf. I mean, Blandy's 52 years old.
Oh, you can carry it.
He's playing some golf right now.
Of course he is.
You know, and Phil is 55, about to turn 55. He's playing some of the best golf he's played in a decade. And so does Phil want to leave next year and not compete and be he's not ready for that. I don't see it. But wouldn't you love him in the broadcast booth someday?
How good would he be?
Charles Barkley. That's not that's an American reference. That won't mean
no, yeah.
I mean, he would be an elite broadcaster, but the thought of the way he's striking the ball now, the thought of even thinking through that is too far off. And so, yeah, these guys are getting older, and until these young guys come up and push, and we continue to improve the strength of field and continue to get new talent, I can say when I go to the majors, like, I'm not alone when I'm there. Like, agents and players from other tours are sure to come up and say hello. You know, we're not invisible. And so there's a lot of interest in who we are and what we're doing.
On that note then, again, something my audience will desperately want to know. Is there any big-name players in the lineup? Is there any big-name players knocking at your door, ringing you, messaging you, saying, get me in? Is there any big-name players, new big-name players you're looking to sign?
Yeah, not a question I'll probably answer, but still love your fans and your listeners. I will say this, you know, there was a big active negotiation, and we stood down for the last year. It predates me. And as that starts to come to finality, it's likely that we're going to have to, you know, we have relegation in our league, as you know, and so the bottom 6 players come out, and so we've got to replace those players, those 6 players, and it's up to us to figure out how many of those are kind of the next young Jose Lay, and how many of them are 20-somethings or young 30-somethings, and we're going through that process now to figure that out.
Do you have big-name players messaging you? You
know, fortunately, it's a really the golf world is really small, and the elite fields, there are really 2 elite fields now, the PGA Tour and LIV Golf.
Yeah.
And so if people are open to it, they oftentimes reach out to me or someone on my team.
That's quite exciting.
What?
That's quite exciting.
Yeah, no,
it's good. It's a nice position to be in.
I will say, I will tell you the one advantage from not coming from golf. Is I was playing paddle with Sergio again.
Yeah.
And one of my friends came in who's a really good paddle player. He's really good. He taught me how to play. He's a Swedish guy. And he came in and he was like starstruck. And I'm like looking at him like, what heck just happened? He could barely speak, couldn't string 2 sentences together, was tripping over his own feet. This guy's like an elite athlete. And I'm like, he's like, I don't know. I was thinking of Sergio on the other end. I'm like, meanwhile, we're getting our clocks clean, buddy. And so I come in very fresh, you know, fresh to the world and fresh to the voices, and can come in, you know, and be a bit more tough and stern and pure, and yet still be a friend and still be someone who can challenge them and push them and still be one to stretch them and be humble enough to listen to feedback. It's actually quite a gift.
What do you see golf looking like in 5 years?
Oh, wow! That seems like an eternity.
Well, 3 years.
5 years. No,
3
five
years.
Five is more. It's better. I think that LIV Golf will have a dominant position in global golf. We'll be the place you go for global golf. I think the PGA Tour will always be and have the stronghold in the U.S. I really do. I think it's like, I made this analogy once and it wasn't really well received, so I'll go for it again. I really believe that it's like NASCAR Formula One. And I like NASCAR. And it's like they've got 42 events in the U.S. And whether they shrink that number is kind of like, that's the general consensus, that they will shrink the number of events they have to get more of their players playing in the same events, because they sprinkle their 130 guys over 42 events. Some events have a lot of the guys, and some events the stars, and some don't as many. So I think they'll shrink their number, but I think they'll always, for the foreseeable future, have a dominant position in the U.S. And I think we'll be the dominant player in the world.
Where do you want to visit? Which countries have you not visited yet that you'd love to get to?
I've been just about everywhere in the world.
As in LIV Golf, though. Where would you
LIV Golf.
Where would you love to take LIV Golf?
I'd love to explore the continent of Africa. I'd love to explore the South American continent. Those are two continents that I think LIV Golf should be.
Yeah. Do you think you could have multiple events in Australia?
Maybe. It's just, 40% of our audience comes from out of state or out of the country in Australia. And so what I don't want to do is pull away from that event. And we are talking about potentially having a second event in Australia. It will pain me if it's a LIV Golf event, just because there are so many countries that keep calling and clamoring for us to be there. And the question is would you rather two in Australia, or do you want one in South America, or do you want one in Africa? Like, how do we purely grow the game of golf? Like, what's best to grow the game of golf? Like, another extraordinary event in Australia would be amazing, because I love it there, and I love Australia.
And they love LIV Golf.
Oh, it's so amazing.
I mean,
it's how many ripper hats? We didn't talk about team golf either. How many ripper hats? We have a youth golf program there where every kid who picks up a golf club, every junior, gets a ripper hat.
Going on to team then, because you're right, we've not touched on that yet. This is still my opinion. I've been here for 8 events now.
Yeah.
I still think there's a disconnect between teams and fans.
Yeah.
And I think it can be improved.
Yeah. Well, how do you think it can be improved?
You look at rippers, and it's such a location base. It's almost a given who an Australian fan supports. Isn't it? It's a given.
Isn't that wonderful?
I don't think there's enough of those teams yet. I think
agree with
Stingers makes sense.
South African
From
team.
South Africa, you support
Louis
Stingers.
team, yeah.
From the UK, you could argue Majestics, but
Majestics are UK.
Yeah, but they've not kind of lent into that maybe enough. And obviously got Henrik Stenson, who's a Swede, and maybe not lent into that enough. The one that I always think is a big miss is like the High Flyers. It's the only USA team, full USA team.
Right.
Like, I feel like that should be simple who you support.
Yeah. Fireballs, Spain.
Fireballs, definitely, yeah.
A pure. I mean, Abe's Mexican, but Spain
almost. Obviously, these teams have been built 3.5 years ago now. Like, how do those teams be molded? How can they be shaped?
I think it's right. I think your instincts are right. And something, we just hired Chris Heck, our new president.
Because he came from Aston Villa.
He did. He's running Aston Villa. Yeah. And his long history in sports. We've worked together before, way back in our history. And extraordinary executive, insane brand eye. And so between them and talking to some of our network partners, like this notion of the flag, even like putting the Aussie flag actually on the arm, or the South African flag, and what does a UK team actually look like and feel like, and what does that look like tomorrow versus today? And should there be an American team? Should there be some global teams? Like Bryson wants a global team, just given who Bryson is, as does John Rahm with Legion 13. But this notion of having most teams be based around Torquay is South America.
Yep.
It's like, it seems too easy.
Yeah, and obviously Ironheads as well, like
Korean team.
And then I feel like each team then should host an event. It's their event.
That's the idea.
Like the Rippers are hosting Australia.
Yeah, and not just hosting that event, but there are representatives in the country.
Correct.
And so, the youth program, like the Majestics do it. They have this program called Little Sticks.
Yeah, it's great.
50,000 through the education system, touch 50,000 kids. And so for me, it's like, you're not only hosting an event, you're hosting, like, what is your connection to the federation? How do you connect to youth golf? What is our impact program? And how can we impact more people? How do we get more clubs in kids' hands? How do we drive sustainability? Like, what are we actually doing to make an impact and difference? Yes, they are the hosts.
One thing that I saw it in Riyadh, the very first event. I was out filming out on the golf course, and I was like, are these teams, they're not real teams. Like, they don't really bond. They don't really work together. Instantly, I was mistaken.
You get it right away.
Because I was literally walking around and going, oh, well, there's the pink team. There's Range Goats on the 4th hole. Oh, there's the Rippers all together. And you'll see it today on a practice round. It's
not just a practice round, though. They get houses together in the markets. They eat together. They hang together. they could soul. I remember, I think it was Australia. Is that when, Abe was coming down winning? Was it Australia?
Australia, Wacko-Neiman won.
Right, because Abe bogeyed 3 of the last 5 holes.
Yeah.
I think that was the one.
Yeah, it was John Rahm in the contention as well. John Rahm was up there.
He's always in contention.
Of course he is.
But either way, I believe it was Australia. It might not have been. But Abe is playing extraordinarily well. Bogeys 3 of the last 5 holes. Wacko ends up winning.
Yeah, it was Abe, yeah.
Not by default, but, and golf is the loneliest sport in the world, right? I mean, there is no more lonely sport. And I'm standing on the green, one of the privileges of the job, and afterwards, and everybody's hugging Wacko and they're shooting champagne. Oh, that's amazing! And I look over and I catch Abraham, who is a wonderful soul. Okay,
He's lovely.
He's a heck of a golfer and a wonderful soul. And I see Sergio hugging him, like almost in a paternalistic way, and like your dad might hug you after the wheel comes off. And it was like a hug, and he kept saying, I speak a little bit of Spanish, essentially saying like, I love you and it's okay. And then he had his arms on him and he's literally saying to him, this is your fuel. Like, this will never happen to you again because you'll never forget this moment. And the next time you're here, you're going to win. You're going to drive this home. And I was like, that's LIV Golf. And I was like, that is special. And nobody's talking, because Sergio.
But you're seeing that.
Yes.
Because you're there.
Yes.
It needs to get captured.
I know, and we're having a hard time. Like, and so again, it's a 3-year-old league. We're up against 100-year-old leagues. Yeah. And so when I'm talking about how excited I am, it's because we have the hard stuff right.
Yeah.
We have the personalities, we have the brands, we have the teams. It's actually working. They're actually rooting for each other and supporting each other. These young kids, Tom McKibben, why did his mom and dad say it's okay to go here?
Yeah.
Because he gets to learn from John Rahm every day.
And Tyrrell Hatton,
see how he eats, how he takes care of, how he takes care of his body, how he handles himself on the course. What does sportsmanship look like? And McKibben's going to be a heck of a golfer. I mean, he could golf anywhere.
Yeah.
But so we have this special sauce, but translating that to broadcast, it's hard.
But do you think the world's fickle now? And it's hard to make those mistakes? Because like you say, you go back to, let's say, the PGA Tour.
I've been around too long.
Did you say it was 96 years, PGA Tour?
96 years.
Like,
not PGA Tour, PGA.
PGA. Many years ago, they could have made those mistakes. They could have had those errors.
Right.
But nobody saw that. In the modern world, LIV Golf gets scrutinized for any movement they make.
That's okay, though.
It's the modern world.
I want to bring you back in time. It's 1968, okay? There's no PGA Tour.
Yeah.
And Arnold Palmer and Gary Player,
yes, of course.
and Jack Nicklaus break off from the PGA to create the PGA Tour. Do you remember why?
Because they wanted to control.
They wanted to make more money.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? And they said it at the press conference, because we want to make more money. And they were this breakaway league. How crazy that you would break away from the PGA. And I bring that up just to tell you, like, there's change in sport. Like, it has to be okay. And I remember being at the NBA and us changing the hand check rules, because you used to be able to put your hand on somebody out front. Now you can't. In hockey, we changed overtime rules and went to 3-on-3. In baseball, we put a runner on second. It's like in cricket, they changed the whole.
Of course they did.
The whole
2020 cricket.
Just completely. I mean, it's not even the same game.
Yeah.
And yet it caught on because the world needs change. Now, if you accept that we make mistakes and get more criticism, I'd say, well, people care about us. If I'm going to complain about not having enough coverage and then complain that I'm getting rubbed the wrong way, sometimes shame on me. So I love the attention. I do. I love the pressure. I said to my board several times, I was like, there's no way you can possibly put half as much pressure on me as I put on myself, ever. And so we have a very high bar of where we're going. We know exactly what we're about. We know exactly what our mission is, and we are fighting every day to get there. But yes, are we going to stumble and fall? Yeah, we are. Are we going to trip sometimes? Yes. Am I going to say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, make the wrong decision? Is a player going to have a rough day or do something? Yes. Will we be held to a different standard? Yes, we will. I saw some of the behavior, like our guys know what the expectations are in terms of behavior. Some of the behavior on the course by other players during the majors is not okay to me, okay? Our guys know what the expectation is. Are they perfect? They are not. They know if they make a mistake, they're going to hear it and they're going to feel it. Because I think we're held to a different standard. And you have to ask yourself, is that okay? I say yes.
Yep.
Because we have decided to step into one of the most traditional, amazing sports in the world and say hey, we want to change it. Yeah. We want to make this different. Additive. We want to We want to make this better. We want to grow the game. We want more people playing. We want more people watching. We want to grow. We want to take these values to the world. And so it has to be okay that we take a beating sometimes.
So that's a really fair point. Really fair point. On a few quick fire questions, what's the position right now on world ranking points?
We are Trevor Immelman's the new. I said new about 5 times today because there's so many new people.
But that's good
in the golf.
That's good.
Yeah,
for golf,
because I think most of the boards in golf decided that it's not okay what's happening, and so there are a lot of new people. And Trevor's a former Masters winner, wonderful leader, whip smart. He's the voice of CBS in the U.S. for the Masters, and I believe the PGA Championship. He's a tremendous commentator, but. And we've had really like robust, sometimes raw, but always constructive conversations about what role does he and I, what the role do we want to play in bringing golf back together? And so, and him being the chairman of the OWGR, the World Rankings, he's got a tougher job than I do. I'll tell you that. And I think we're both on the same page that something has to get better and change, and we're working through what that might feel like and look like.
Will any more teams be added?
I hope so.
You want to get it? You want to get more? It's 13 at the moment. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's some number more that will come. The question is that in 26 or 27 or 28? But yeah, we'll have more teams. I mean, we have to continue to improve the talent here on these teams. We have to continue to improve the brands of these teams and the business of these teams. But yeah, we have room for more teams.
I know you're super passionate about sport. Mm-hmm. You're a wonderful father to 4 daughters, as you mentioned. As I mentioned before, you do a great podcast with your daughter. Yeah. It's a girl dad podcast. I think it's amazing. Because
thank you.
I love the fact she doesn't know a great deal about golf, and the way you talk to her about it is amazing.
Oh, it's unbelievable. When I told her about first of all, if you're a girl dad out there, you've got 3 kids.
I've got 2 girls.
2 girls and a boy. And I always say that if your girl asks you to do, your daughter asks you to do anything, you say yes before she finishes the sentence. And that's what happened with this. She said, "Dad, can I?" I'm like, "Absolutely." She said, "Do a podcast." And I was like, "Oh, yeah. Yes, honey." But it's a chance to spend a couple hours with her every week, which was quite a dream. And she works at the NBA at the league office in social media. And she's a special gal.
So with that in mind, ladies, sports, are we ever going to see a LIV Golf ladies?
I hope so. I sure hope so. You know, fortunately, HE, our chairman, is a huge proponent of women's sports, and you see that he's the chairman of Aramco. They're the largest partner, series. And now through Golf Saudi, they'll become one of the biggest players in women's sports in general around the world. And so, what I've asked of him, quite frankly, is just time. You know, I just need some time, and so I think in the next 2 or 3 years, you'll see us enter the women's golf. And fortunately, on a platform of incredible investment by the kingdom and through Aramco and through Golf Saudi.
Scott, you've been amazing with your time.
Rick, I appreciate you.
Thank you. I know
I'm glad you're part of the family.
Incredibly busy man. I'm glad I could ask you so many questions. It was nice to sit down with you.
Yeah, my first time.
We played paddle last night. We'll have to get a game of golf in.
Yes, we will. I'm a little nervous about playing with you.
I'm nervous about playing with you. Don't worry about playing with me.
No, it's.
I feel like we should be on the same team.
That would be helpful.
I feel like you're a little bit too competitive.
I do. I have some kind of fire, but I'm not very good. But I want to leave your incredible audience with this: is we have a family motto at the O'Neill House.
Okay.
What we lack in talent, we make up for in confidence.
Love that. I love that.
Thank you, my friend.
I think I've had that all my life, that mantra. Scott O'Neill, thank you very much. Have a wonderful week, and thanks for chatting with us.
Thanks, Rick. Hope to be back soon.